Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Inhofe, it's not just mayors who get that very personal treatment from constituents. So do council members and in many places.
Oh, I know.
Legislators, et cetera. But Ms. Mallory and Ms. McCabe, thank you both for your willingness to serve. A couple of very quick questions for the two of you as I warm up to two bigger questions, one for each. Number one is, do you believe in science? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Do you look forward to making decisions based on science and data? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. The next question is for Ms. McCabe. As we had a chance to discuss briefly just yesterday, we recognize that California has long been a leader, not just on environmental policy and stewardship generally, but specifically in the area of fuel economy standards. One of my priorities is to ensure that we restore California's undisputed authority to set fuel economy standards that are safe, affordable for consumers, and obviously good for the environment. California has led so much so that several automakers entered into voluntary agreements with the state of California, committing to stricter standards than the prior administration sought to impose. So the question is another simple yes, no. Would you work with us under this administration in partnership with California on fuel economy standards that can improve standards and environmental quality nationally?
Senator, if confirmed, I would gladly commit to you to work in partnership with the state of California. They've been a real leader on these issues, fuel economy and auto standards.
Thank you very much. Next question for Ms. Mallory. Throughout my time in office, I've prioritized not just environmental protection policy, but environmental justice policy, specifically for communities that have too often borne a disproportionate brunt of pollution, contamination, toxics, traffic congestion, proximity to Superfund sites, et cetera. It's an issue that's personal to me. I grew up in one of the first experiences in terms of being active in the community was standing alongside my mother as we blocked trucks from entering the Lopez Canyon landfill in Los Angeles, California, because of its impact on the community that we lived in, air quality, traffic, trash, et cetera. Years later, I would serve on the Los Angeles City Council and supported the creation of an environmental justice zone, which is a designation that provides extra consideration to the cumulative impacts of new developments for areas that have a high concentration of facilities such as solid waste processing, recycling, et cetera. You're probably familiar with the fact that in California we have a mapping and screening tool called Cal Enviro Screen to help identify communities with the most significant pollution burden. It collects data on 20 indicators to help California policymakers identify disadvantaged communities to prioritize our climate investments. It's worth noting that California's tool goes further than the EPA's environmental justice screening tool, in that California includes some non-environmental indicators like education attainment for populations in the area, high housing costs, unemployment, and more. It also allows for identification of cumulative effects that policymakers can compare census tracts and identify communities most at risk. And thanks to this tool, California has been able to invest 35% of revenues from our cap and trade program in overpolluted communities to ensure we're targeting our investments, which serves as a potential model for the new administration. So, Ms. Mallory, my question is, what do you think are some of the best ways to identify these overburdened communities, and can tools like the Environmental Justice Zone or California's modeling help the Biden administration meet its commitment to 40% of the benefits from clean energy and infrastructure investments benefiting disadvantaged communities?
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that question. And as we discussed when we met, I think the environmental justice obviously is being given a front and center place in President Biden's agenda and at CEQ in particular. And among the things that have been tasked to CEQ already is standing up the infrastructure through a interagency task force as well as a FACA working with Federal Advisory Committee, working with citizens from across the country. But in addition, there is a responsibility to look at a screening tool specifically with the idea that these tools can be really important in helping to understand the extent of the problem, where we should be focusing and locating our energies. And so I believe that those are going to be front and center in terms of how the administration is going to be focusing the issue. And if I'm confirmed at CEQ, those would be approaches that I would definitely be keeping in mind and talking to the staff about. And as we discussed, I look forward to partnering with you on that issue if I'm confirmed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.